Good afternoon or good evening to all the Borgers. We're very excited to be with you guys today. We wanted to take this opportunity to give a bit about an update, the macro outlook, what's happening in the markets, what has happened last week with TradFi going completely bananas, the whole case of USD, talking about as well the future of DeFi and talking about SwissBorg, the Series A, and all the opportunities that we're always offering, which is to democratize wealth management by making it, Anthony, fun, fair, and community-centric.
Sorry, I was on mute. Sorry, guys.
As you guys know, my name is Cyrus Fazil. I'm the proud founder of SwissBorg, and on my left side, there is Nicolas
Nicolas,
Raymond, our DC
Raymond,
CTO,
CTO of, yeah,
Hi,
and
guys.
always.
Anthony. Yeah. You.
Exactly. The three of us for you guys. Maybe Alex will join us. He has actually great news, which is really, really cool. Great to see there's Nick and here. It's great to see Roman Sprengers, to see the entire Borgers crew here. So very, very excited to hear you guys. And yeah, share you a little bit what has been going on for the last few days and potentially what's going to be going forward. The great thing is that we have one of the smartest planet in the one of the two of the smartest men in the planet, one that knows what the future anticipates, Anthony the Oracle, and the motor behind the Oracle, which is essentially Nicolas, making sure that whatever we're building is scalable, it's amazing, and has a great future too. So maybe just for a sum up, let's potentially talk about a little bit about what's have been happening in TradFi. And I don't know who wants to start, Nicolas or Anthony. Talk about the cases of the banks that happened recently. Maybe understand really, is this a crypto problem? Is this a traditional banking problem? What happened with Silicon Valley Bank? What happened with the others that fell, and this whole bankruptcy that has endangered our dear USDC.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we discussed that in the past many times. So we have this, let's say, this generation from the crisis. I think the both of us, we started our financial career at the really the bottom of the crisis in 2008, like the beginning, but as well the bottom. And of course, being part of this generation that somehow start their, it really shape your vision of the market as well, right? If you begin your career like we did in crypto, where there was a crazy bull market, is going to give you a different taste and idea of what the market can do and will be. And for the both of us, Cyrus and myself, when we started, there was actually the worst financial crisis of all time. So that was as well a moment where we can learn a lot. And actually what happened during the weekend is very similar to what happened to Bear Stearns in some extent. And the funny part is it's very symmetrical event. So you have an environment where rates are rising. And when rates are rising, it just push pressure on the asset of banks. Why? Because they take deposit and they invest this deposit in different bonds with different maturity. And as a result, when the interest rates are rising very fast, it creates a lot of pressure on their liquidity. And if people come and they want to withdraw all their money, basically it becomes impossible. And then we fall into the same trap as we ever done. So I think we can discuss on and on and on about the technicalities, but essentially I think the flow is even 15 years or it's been 15 years already. 15 years after the last crisis, the design of a bank has not been reinvented. I think the liquidity of deposit is a false design that needs to be reinvented, and we're still yet there, and it creates massive collapse. I guess the major difference between today and 2008 is central banks were not prepared. So it took a lot of time to politicians and all the guys that are basically responsible as well for the mass to act. And it took a lot of time. It took the collapse of Lehman Brothers as well. And I don't think this what we see today is of a weekend There is already measure that put in place. So things are going extremely fast because people are trained to do it. So the corollary, and today is a very interesting example, is the worst, sometimes the worst news are creating the best outcome for the market, because then we build this expectation of free money that going to be injected in the market. And somehow we are in this play for years and years and years now, where the worst scenario is when the economy is not good, but it's good enough not to have extraordinary measure, and then gradually the market is losing. But today, the
Yeah,
fact
that's
that we
really
see
bad.
so much trouble, is actually positive for the market, which is very counterintuitive, but that's just the reality. So
The,
all in all, what happened this weekend is positive. We see as well USDC repegging, which was very good, and
the
I
end
don't know.
of the world is the
Yeah,
bull
that's very
case.
true. You never want any fight to be boring, because if not, people just lose interest and then to switch to new channels. So that's very true that we are definitely into a lot of fights currently. It's funny because with Nicolas we had this quick discussion. So just to make things clear, so we didn't have any money with Silicon Valley Bank. We had money with Signature Bank that we withdrawed already 2 3 weeks ago, and it was quite a small portion, and we never worked with Silvergate. So Friday afternoon, I get a little worried for whatever reason, and I start not seeing this thing falling in the peg. I just seeing all this USD and this whole bullshit that's happening in the US right now, with people just trying to hammer down and essentially cut the banking or the financial system from crypto in the US. And anyway, we're in different chats and this and that, and then I just say to Jeremy, like, oh, by the way, the fundraise to the USDC is like, no, sorry, we convert it every day in CHF. Don't worry, we don't keep any. What about our balance sheets? No, we don't keep never USDC because we don't spend in USDC. So this is something that's very important, and I think so. Me personally, I have USDC and I still have USDC, and because I was trained like that and I was formatted like that, well, you have to have dollars to invest into. But actually, in SwissBorg, you don't need to have USDC. You don't need to have any dollars. If your base spending is euros or Swiss francs, it's probably better to have one or the other, right? So that's something very important. And getting to that discussions, it was before midnight, so the peg was still there. And Nico, if you remember the chat, he was like, "Oh, but look what's happening on Curve Finance." And I was like, "Yeah, it's just people playing arbitrage that's going to push down the price." I knew that it's going to unpeg. I didn't know how bad it was going to unpeg. And Nico's like, "Well, check out what's happening really on there." And yeah, after at 3 o'clock, I woke up again. I was like, okay, this is actually a real serious drama. How did you feel it, Nicola, from your end? Was that anything that you felt it coming, or was it?
Yeah, it's just that um, how I see it is that like in stable coins, there is the word stable, right? And so the point is that if you have a backing that is not 1%, it means it's unstable. And so I believe like a stable coins is either pegged at one or it's going to decrease because you don't want to be the last one holding the bag. So that was what made me very nervous, and that's why we were monitoring the situation very very closely, so that we can avoid um, big things happening. Yeah.
Yeah, but one thing that is very important is that like I think we all explained it, that worst case scenario is going to depict 5%, to 95 if they
Mhm.
wouldn't be recuperated, because they had more money and they've been printing money and they have good friends that who have money, a circle. They're backed by JP Morgan and by a lot of big guys. So and it's a very lucrative business. Like, why not saving this business that made over $1 billion of profit last year, right? So I was not too worried by that, and it was only 3.3 billion, so less than 10%. But the one thing we should always worry is that, dollar versus euro, how much has it lost in the last 12 months or even 6 months, Anthony, for example, or Swiss franc probably over that 10%.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
And that's things that we should worry about. Like very often, it's like, oh yeah, I'm doing USDC and then getting a 5% yield. You're like, yeah, but if you're a euro-based person or a Swiss franc person, you've lost 10%, and inflation in Switzerland is much less than in
Yeah.
actually in the States, right? And same for Europe. So this is something that people should definitely be aware. And but all in all, I think so. We were very fortunate that we were able to process withdrawals and and people were able to trade USDC on the platform. I think so. This is something that a lot of people did. Did you, Nicolau or Anthony, buy at any time some USDC at 90 cents or more?
No, unfortunately, I didn't have time to
Yeah,
trade. I was like really too busy monitoring situations everywhere, and
yeah,
I
I
can't
understand.
handle extra stress with personal positions. So.
Yeah, I think I was confident because we had the chance to discuss with the counterparty that used the app, so we knew that Kraken didn't have exposure. So on Friday, I converted my USDC to USD, and yeah, I made the trade back around minus 10%. I'll explain on Twitter why, because if it looks from the outside that was an interesting risk reward return. And hopefully that's the type of trades as well that we will offer very soon in the app, available to everyone. Yeah, it's it's always the part that pissed me off the most into this USD drama is like the people that are the less savvy, and it's difficult to have information. I think Twitter has become an extraordinary source of research and information. You still need to be connected to the right people because there is a lot of false information going on. But if you follow the right account, there is people that do an amazing job of reporting, and it's very accurate, and they give great opinion, and it helps to build a very strong reasoning behind the trade very fast, and I love it. I think it's there is so much that can be done, but at the end of the day, it's very easy to panic, to confuse USDC for UST, sorry, if you have been impacted. And I believe most of the people just panicked. They pushed the peg very low, and they lose a lot of money because what you will see even on chain, all the big guys were buying, even at 5% discount. They were started to buy because looking at the entire consolidated position of USDC across all these banks, you felt like even 5% was not free money, but it was a very good trade to make. And that's the part that is a little bit sad, is all these events, the people that are not necessarily the mean or the financial knowledge, they lose a lot of money at the profit of few people that have more money as a result, and it's not necessarily helping the space. And but hopefully we can build product. That's what we're working on at the moment, and I think it's going to be part of the discussion tonight. We can build products
Yep.
that are sophisticated on the trading terms, but are accessible to anyone in the app. Yeah.
100%. We'll get to that. That's the sweet surprise for tonight, guys. It's going to be really, really entertaining how to, what is going to be the new thing about the layer three, how the opportunities are going to swing to you and be able to do really cool stuff. Um, Obviously this recuperation that coming from TradFi is it's quite brutal from the US market. And you're going to see some Europeans with Mika coming up, and banks like we work with Incor Bank or different other ones, BCB and so many others, that enable to take this risk and to understand this risk, and fortunately to have a regulator that's putting in place and shaping how things should be done. And this, I think, so is going to be a really something very interesting. It reminds me a bit, back in the 2017, where all these ICOs were made in Europe or not in the US, and this was growing. Unfortunately, it didn't really help so many of them, but like a lot of still Aave, SwissBorg, a lot of great companies come from those ICO super nice era. And I think so. Probably there's going to be very interesting things going forward with Europe, where it's not, the regulator is not trying to fight at all. It's actually trying to build together, and therefore the banking partners are doing the same thing. And this is a fantastic opportunity for SwissBorg and all their bigger other exchanges and I would say market participants that have a presence here in Europe. So for this, I'm very very bullish for us. and for this region. Do you guys agree with this, Anthony and Nicolas? Perfect. Now let's a little bit talk about DeFi because obviously there's been that was the best. Thank you guys for that. And by the way, I just want to say hello to everyone that is sharing their love. Merci, mille merci, Michel, for your kind words. Amazing to have Claire here, Paul, Dadex, Ravax, Wuwasser, Paul and CFI, Chris Tim, Phil G, Wubasser, Barracuda, the beautiful fish, John Jones, Alex as well, Malix. Really cool to have you here. Like always, it's just super awesome to have the warm hearts, this beautiful green laser eyes and green hearts. Obviously, TradFi is causing a lot of problem. DeFi has always been as well a very amazing opportunities for really us to change this whole era. But with this, there's always different risks that SwissBorg has been doing extremely well for the past 3 years or 2 years. 2021, 2020. Yeah, 2 years and 3 months. 2 years and 3 months. And of course, not everything is always perfect. There's always, rain. There's always a little bit some snow, and that creates some mud. And it does create sometimes ways where, unfortunately, we don't get everything perfect. We don't get everything right. But we always do is that we protect people's assets at all time, and we always make sure that even if we do dare to take some risk, we hope that this is worth the reward and it's justified. So let's a little bit talk about the Euler case. I know Anthony or Nicola, if you want to share a bit. What is Euler? Why did we choose Euler? And what did we face as issue?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, first of all, I've seen some question in chat, so you can go back on Twitter and we have communicated on Euler. So regarding to what happened, the two yields that are impacted are Ethereum and USDT. The good news is the amount that is impacted will be covered by SwissBorg because we were lucky enough that it's not that big. So coming back to how the SwissBorg earn is built, I think at the end of the day we can protect user by as we did from day one to communicate as much as we can over the risk, over the protocol that are used. And as well, I think at the end of the day, if people trust SwissBorg, of course, there is a part where we give the transparency, but they not necessarily possess as well all the knowledge to evaluate themselves. Do I want to invest within this protocol? So part of our job is to build product as well that, again, can give you a reward that is symmetric to the risk. And hopefully can be asymmetric in the right way. So part of our due diligence process in the SB Earn is we have a full team that perform the technical audit and the quantitative audit as well. Many hacks that we've seen are not only due to flow in the code, but sometimes it's just flow into the financial engineering of any code. So we strictly respect, we have a process in place. Of course, we're learning every day with this process because it's an open world. DeFi is pushing innovation a lot, and part of it is the learning curve for sure. When it's come to Euler as a protocol, it was one of the best. I think it was seen as a very serious contender to Aave. Of course, not as big as Aave, but it was seen as serious as that. And if you go on Twitter, you see, despite what happened, there is so many respect, so many people that are really giving very positive feedback on Euler. And as part of our due diligence process, 8 audit firm or 6 went over the code and never find 6 and didn't find anything. So I mean, of course, as we're learning today, it's nothing is perfect. I think even us, as you reminded, Cyrus, we have to improve. But part of the improvement as well is not only due to the due diligence, because I think we've done a very good job with that, but reshaping a little bit the product as it's done. And I think that's part of the second discussion. I'm still teasing it, but I guess that's one of the learning as well today, maybe to accelerate on the plan.
But just one more thing on Euler, just so that like everyone understands. It's definitely a platform that has been on the rise, and that like a lot of people would have considered a blue chip platform, or getting there at least. This is why they had like so much assets that were deposited over there. And out of all the teams that are building in DeFi, they have been the ones that have been focusing like crazy on security. It has been like the number one selling point. And for that is that they did like massive research, as you're pointing it out, Anthony, to market manipulation. So Euler has been the team that has pushed like Oracle price manipulation and things like this that are extremely technical, but that have been like a vector of attack for so many platforms because they've neglected it. And here they have been through 6 audits. And yeah, it's very unfortunate what's happened. I just believe that like DeFi going to have a moment where they need to reflect on how we get from there, because that is definitely a team that like has done everything right on the paper, and that like something like this can happen means that like we need to push much more than that, and lower and push higher the standards, because obviously that's not good.
That's a very fair point, and it's true. I think so. If I'm not mistaken, how much did they have? Like 9 billion in assets pledged on their platform this
No,
morning.
no. So the hack is over 200 million. So I don't know
Yeah.
exactly, but like a couple of 100 million.
No,
So
but the total assets that was pledged on Euler was, I think so.
There was 400 million, 200 million that I think that was already
yeah,
borrowed, and the rest,
yeah,
unfortunately, was something along this line, or 500 million. And of course, it changed on the regular
yeah,
Okay,
something
basis,
like this. Yeah.
especially with what
okay.
happened this weekend, right? Yeah, there was some operation done, yeah.
So the question is like, so in the smart yield, it was very clear that right in the beginning that we said that we would always have a compensation room, and the compensation room would be for Genesis only. So if you're essentially unable to have our treasury, that would go into essentially this compensation room. This compensation room is based on the fees that we're taking on this particular layer three, right? And essentially you would be able to build it up, and hopefully this would enable us to, if a shit hits the fan. It always does happen, by the way, just to make things clear. We're in crypto, guys. We're in finance. So technology and finance with a spring of crypto, it makes always the home runs that will bring us all the way to Mars and further than that. And as always, it will smack you right down back to the planet Earth. And we will have our up and downs, and we all know it. And so, of course, we did anticipate this on a corporate level, on a business level as well. And we said, okay, it will be great to be able to reimburse everyone that is Genesis. And then we thought about it more than carefully this morning when this happened, and we felt that it would be a bit unjust for the others. So we said, you know what, let's be more candid and think about the entire ecosystem, because not everyone is Genesis and not everyone could be Genesis anymore. So we said that we would compensate essentially the entire people that were into this pool, and I think so. This makes it much better, and it makes as well that SwissBorg is a trusted platform that really preserves your wealth at all time, because that's really the best way to accumulate wealth and build wealth, is to never blow up, and we really don't want anyone to blow up. Volatility will be there, and volatility is your friend, but we don't want any blowups to happen. And that's why Anthony and of course Nicolas and the entire team has always putting efforts by scrutinizing every platform that we work with, making the due diligence well. Even if you're working with you're working with a signature bank, for example, you start feeling that things doesn't go okay. Well, then you make sure to act in a safe place. Your lure was a very small portion of the smart yield, of course, because we have a lot rests in staking, with Ethereum in staking, so which has pretty much zero risk. and tomorrow that Shanghai is happening is going to be a great thing for Ethereum. That's going to be very exciting. So that was a bit misunfortunate, but again, this will enable us to bounce better. And again, all your funds are safe, and
Mhm.
that's the most important.
Yeah. And just on that topic, like, fund safety is a core worry of SwissBorg. And just to give you insights about what we're doing is that navigating this entire DeFi is very complicated. We've seen it in the past, and here we're very annoyed with what happens, but we're investigating on how to continue to push forward not only DeFi, but also operating DeFi. So the thing is that, like, literally the teams are working on how to avoid this, and it's just unfortunate that it happened, but that's already like the core situation that we are. So we are starting to invest in how to have more a safe investment, such as proof of stake, for instance, but also on how to better protect, because typically, it's this kind of like mouse and cat game between attackers and fund holders. And at the moment, we're preparing ourselves so that, like, if we see an attack, we can counterattack and trigger an exit of all our positions. So at the moment, we're investing in bots to protect better everything, because we realize that, like, doing audits and stuff is not enough, because you'll never know to 100%. So you need to have like more countermeasure. So that, I would say, just taking a silly example, but for instance, if you're flying in an airplane, they've done everything possible on Earth so that, like, the airplane doesn't crash. Yet you come with a parachute or like a life jacket and those kind of things. And so here is the same kind of things, is that, like, we do our due diligence, we look at the audit, we do a due deal on the teams, on the code, on everything. We look at who is present on the team, where are, like, the funds coming from that, like, we on the platform with. And then now we are going to add extra steps so that, like, when things go wrong, we have safety measure to exit. So all those kind of things is where we are. It's just that, like, events like today tell us that, like, yeah, well, we're on the right track. It's just we need to accelerate all those so that, like, hopefully DeFi can become boring again. That's how we like it.
I love that. Very well said. And I love the parachutes. Yeah, buy me a few of those. Um, the risk of DeFi is always there. Whatever you invest, there's always a risk. If you put your money into a bank and the bank is a AAA bank as Credit Suisse today, you have a risk with Credit Suisse. You have a risk with essentially any investment that you do. That's the basic. What we do want to focus more and more is, as Nico just explained, and I don't need to explain it again, but as well to focus more on staking or parachains and being able to have a really a less risky type of investment. And right now, mostly the Ether today, it's all based in staking. So there's no risk at all there, subjected, which is great. The only risk is that, well, Ethereum blows up. And if that's the case, well, then anyway, your investment is worth zero, right? So I think so. We will be offering more and more staking mechanism. That's for sure. And of course, I think so still. DeFi is here to stay. Having these great platforms, or we have Curve Finance have great ways. There's so many platforms that have been there now tested for 3 years, 4 years, and will continue to do great things. Uniswap is the same case. So there'll always be different ways to yield, and there will always be risks associated. I think so. Just the more we grow, now it's 2 years and a half or 2 years and 3 months we're in this business. We'll just grow and grow, and sometimes it costs. It's expensive, but if it's there to change the world and really to make wealth management better, it doesn't matter if you lose some time to time some money. It just you never should be able to lose more money than you afford to, and to preserve your wealth. And that's exactly where we're heading. And talking about risk, but amazing opportunities. let's now focus on the future. And for those who are listening to me, I think so. Last night with I have sorry, I forgot his name. Shit. Last night I forgot the name with who I was, not Ali, but with
Amin.
Amina. Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you for that. Sorry, I mean, apologies for listening. Last night it was with Amin. I just talked a little bit about what's the future and how we could create new opportunities and vaults that could bring for people that have a certain degree of risk, offer some really great investment opportunities. Anthony, without blowing up the whole cover, if you could chat some like starters or apéro amuse-bouche for people listening here, I think so. You guys are gonna be very excited. It's been probably since the yield itself and the thematics, probably one of the biggest investment opportunities that we'll be offering as a new way of conducting business and offering, yeah, custom cool stuff.
Absolutely. I've seen other questions in the chat regarding, the details and other stuff. I think in the coming days, we are going to communicate in a broader extent through a blog post so that there will be more precision of all these questions. But today, again, we come with the idea of giving the extent of the situation and saying everything is safe, and to talk about the future as well, how we are going to mitigate these things in the future. So part of what you say, the excitement is to say, I guess, again, we were lucky enough to witness the best moment of DeFi. And we were lucky enough to be quick enough, and that thanks to Nico that is here, to release something in the app that give access to the entire community to the best yield. I remember, in January 2021, you can get 40% on USDC easy with DeFi. And we give it to you guys the opportunity to participate, and it was beautiful. Since then, as we see, is the DeFi space has evolved tremendously, and for us, where we see the future lying is we have a money market that is Aave, but I think Aave is foremost a platform to not necessarily earn yield, but borrow money as well. Like, you're a firm believer in Ethereum, you don't want to sell your Ethereum, and maybe you want to buy your house or even pay your bills, and you can go there and do your operate in the money market, trustless money market environment. I believe the next phase of DeFi is going to be under collateralized loan. So as a consequence, all these things that we've seen with Euler and all these things is never going to happen. And I guess for us, is money market are interesting. If we were about to offer the borrowing functionality as well, that you guys can borrow with your crypto in the app, and that's maybe something that we'll do in the future, even though it's not on the roadmap for now. But we see that the real yield, the yield that is secure, that can mitigate all these asymmetric risk-reward ratio, is in staking and liquid staking. And in the future, the earn, and when I say the future, is very soon, we are going to focus on this line of product for earn, because they are very predictable. The risk when you operate these things is the slashing, when you're never going to lose all your capital. You're going to lose a portion if you don't collaborate with the right partners. But really, the future lie into staking and liquid staking, and that's where we are going. For the other part, that is the more funny part, the high yield, what we've seen is people really want to see high yield in the app. We see a very, very important interest in that. We are coming with new innovation that are going to give you more and more ideas, that are going to inspire you to invest in a different fashion. And not only we are going to combine some of the part of DeFi that most probably are going to be on the end of very risky or very high yield stuff, with many other brick of what DeFi has to offer. Because DeFi is not only a mean to earn, it's a mean to transact, to get access to freely to early tokens that are not necessarily in the big exchange, because we know what's the policy of being listed in the big exchange. It's cumbersome, it's not fair, it's manipulated most of the time. There is the early deals, there is NFTs, there is a bunch of other stuff that are accessible through DeFi in a very fair and transparent manner. And that's what we want to bring back. And I think that's the that's really where we see the spectrum, and the best risk mitigation is to give you, on one hand, the most secure yield that is done with staking, and on the other hand, the other opportunity part that lies in the DeFi, that is not limited to only earn, but it is to give access to a very broad range of opportunities in a secure, in an easy and secure manner, which is the app. Because part of the DeFi as well, I think something that we've shown that we do extremely well is to execute on the DeFi, to protect as well, not only from the due diligence perspective, but from the execution, because there is more and more phishing attacks that happen every day for people that navigate this space. So not to saying too much, I think that that's really where we are going, and that we've been working a lot on that. And the event of what happened today is just going to accelerate even more the priority within the company about these things. That's it.
Thank you for that. I mean, and I think so that's definitely something that we're looking forward to have more opportunities, essentially to front run anyone else on some beautiful trades, on some beautiful investment thesis that could be done through DeFi. I think so. This is something very important. A marketplace where we'll be able to get to invest into early stage projects and all that. Alex, you're just coming back from a very cool conference. Do you want to share us some news? Where you at the AIBC? I saw some pictures. I'm not too sure what it is, but it looked exciting.
Can everybody see this? Can everybody see this?
Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, so guys, this is absolutely crazy. We won at AIBC Blockchain Protocol of the Year, even though Hedge Farm is a DeFi protocol, but not a blockchain. But it just shows, how amazing the community is. I told the guys, literally, I was embarrassed. They call in SwissBorg Blockchain Protocol of the Year. And I was literally covering my eyes thinking, oh my God, this is embarrassing. We should win the UX of the year, or, app of the year, or something like that. And so we go on stage and everyone's kind of smiling at me with a little wink. And I asked why did we do this? And everyone was like, well, because the community voted for you guys. You outvoted all the other votes. So the community can decide. So hilarious, guys. I don't know if you see this Blockchain Protocol of the Year, which is very funny, but they do know that obviously Hedge Farm is doing some amazing stuff. So this should go to Hedge Farm, to the team who have been building on multiple protocols and creating some really cool quantitative strategies. But again, hello, everybody. Sorry for being late. I do just want to stress, is that okay, guys, if I go back to the opportunities angle that Anthony was explaining?
Yes, please go. Show us the light, Alex.
Please go.
So I think, guys, for those who didn't understand exactly what Anthony's saying, I'm going to try to simplify this by starting with the problem. There's one thing that I learned from engineers, and Nicolas in particular, is they always want to really identify the problem, right? And so I'll go back to the problem. And we would love to hear your feedback, by the way, guys. This is one of the most important topics. CHSB is one, which we will continue to talk through the powwows with Cyrus, with the workshops. And I'm very, very confident on this, but it's another topic. So we'll leave that for another day.
The Series
The
A, too.
second
Come on, the Series A. That's an
Series A.
important one.
Of course. But today, obviously, we want to talk about how the earn will evolve. And one thing I would love to hear your feedback, dear community, is this. We noticed that SwissBorg is never one of the early people to offer things. And the reason behind that is very simple, right? We depend on exchanges in terms of listing, right? So that model in itself kind of creates a bit of a second chance, or we're overly reliant and also a bit slow at shipping potential opportunities. So that's one big problem. So being slow is fine, because now we can create an investment platform that is trusted, that is serious, that is professional in its demeanor, and not a crypto casino. But at the end of the day, and I don't know if you guys have seen Cyrus and I on Altcoin Daily the other day, but crypto, all of ourselves tend to be people who are in middle class, wealth-wise, quite high in terms of literacy because we're passionate about crypto, and high motivation. So middle class, high literacy, high motivation. So we're kind of seeking for life-changing gains, hopefully all together through SwissBorg. But because SwissBorg is a little bit slow in terms of our process and reliant on exchanges, maybe we're missing out on some opportunities. And by the way, I don't know what you guys think about a name for the new product range, but I love the name Alpha. opportunities. There's no, I believe there's no real name decided yet, but I think alpha could be cool for a series of products. And so the idea here, guys, is very simple. Earn is cool, 5 to 12%, sometimes 15%, depending on the protocol. But in a market, in this particular market that has really contracted, that even Avalanche is down 90% from all-time highs, right? So you can imagine all the distressed assets that are out there that will probably get that 12 to 15% APY for you much easier, even in a day. We saw what happened today, right, guys? Like literally the protocols are up 16 to 18% in a single day. So does it make sense to you, the community, for us to move away from earn a little bit, try to go more risk off, focus only on proof of stake, as Cyrus and Anthony were saying, and focus on opportunities to solve a specific problem, which is we are a bit slow. And by being slow, that means we're missing out on early opportunities. And I don't know, Anthony, if you talked about specific examples, but by going earlier in these opportunities, and we won't talk about examples, maybe we can elaborate on this, but I do want to plant some seeds here so that the community can come up with your own ideas and share your feedback. We don't want to be a crypto casino, guys. We all agree on that. However, would you be interested in joining higher risk, maybe earlier plays? It doesn't necessarily have to be ventures. It could be just secondary, discounts, secondary market discounts, but joining potential deals that are asymmetrical and that are vetted by a professional investment or wealth management platform. So you see, guys, on one side, we have the crypto casinos, which we never want to become. On the other side, you have the SwissBorg, the very serious professional, sometimes people call us boring Swiss, but we associate boring as safe, hopefully. But what do you guys think about this? Would you be interested in having vaults that can look for asymmetrical returns, obviously higher risk, but higher returns to add a little bit of fun? And I know Cyrus and Anthony and Nicolas, we always talk about how to be a bit fun. We want to be fun, fair, and community-centric. So anyways, I'd love to throw that out there to the community. Do these opportunities vaults make sense to you? Where we all essentially invest together, right? And if the project doesn't go well and we lose money, we lose all money together. So it's a bit higher risk, but higher rewards, which maybe will create a little bit more adrenaline, dopamine, and will hopefully create some more activity for us. Anyways, let us know what you think about this idea of opportunities. If you like that feel of having a little bit of a casino play, not pure casino, but a little higher risk. And also, what name do you think could be great for it? Is it opportunities? Is it alpha? I like alpha personally, but I know alpha can also mean like alpha beta as an early stage. So I don't know. But anyways, I just want to throw that out there.
You're mute, Cyrus, I think.
Sorry. So I was just saying, apologies for this. The idea here, again, to sum it up in the third way, it is bringing smart ideas where you have, with these ideas, you want to concretize them with these smart trades. And this is what it is. It's not about just giving a yield on a token. It's more actually find an investment theory that said like, okay, I look like this range of tokens are doing extremely well. What if you see these early tokens that just have some up and are creating some traction before they're getting listed on every platform? Would it be nice to have maybe a small basket of these crazy tokens that maybe 3 out of 4 won't do very well, but just one is going to go bananas? And that's a little bit like some investment thesis that we would like to run, and could really change, I think, so the entire SwissBorg game.
Mm-hmm. But it's just like I'm reading at the comments, and some people are saying no more risks. I believe that, like, it's any kind of portfolio, it's you need to have like a bit of diversification, and that is for sure that like you need part of your portfolio that doesn't have any risk. So that is the other part that like we're going to build and offer to you, so that like you can have a part that is more with proof of stake, as I was saying. So we are looking at offering this so that there is pure proof of stake participation. So this means that like risks are really down to kind of like, is the protocol collapsing? Let's just say you take the yield from the proof of stake on Matic. It means that like either you get it or Matic is down and then your yield, as a matter of fact, is worthless. So we're trying to go in that direction where basically we are going to continue to expose more transparently the amount of risk that you're taking by investment, and so that like you can build your portfolio accordingly. I guess that's the kind of like discussion that Anthony told me the first day we met and discussed SwissBorg. He was like, dude, we're about wealth management, and wealth management is one thing, risk. How much risk are you willing to take?
How much risk you're willing to take, exactly it. You could go for crazy risky products. If that represents 5% of your portfolio, it doesn't matter. It's just that it won't affect it if it goes plus 10%. If you lose the 100%, well, it just lose 5% of your portfolio. But if it does 1,000x, even if it's only 5% of your portfolio, that's going to be a very good trade that you will remind all your life. It's good sometimes to have those spicy, crazy stuff. I think so. It will talk to a lot of people. Obviously, this will be limited. These small trades and these small alpha, whatever we're going to think, it's not going to be like you'll be able to put like 100% of your capital there. You're going to be very restricted. It's going to be very based on your premium. It'll be just small vaults that we'll like to do going forward. People are talking about SwissBorg blockchain. As you guys know, probably from last week, we talked a lot on during the panel about Galactica. This is really the blockchain that SwissBorg has partnered up today with, and this is probably the one that's going to change a lot how we are interacting into the Web3 experience and world. So again, please check out Galactica Network and check out the white paper there, and you'll see more and more stuff going forward with the powwows in the next week, and how SwissBorg is going to be a big part of this blockchain. 3 seeking alpha. They're seeking alpha. Uh, yeah, seeking alpha is actually a really good one.
Moon. That's cool.
Spicy earn. I like that one, Jean-Claude.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. Cool. Where Ether was not mentioned in the app for the Ether. I think so. It depends on everyone. We're only able to display one name on different based on the app you had. I think that was the idea, but it wasn't the reports that we did push. Like the idea of Hive investing. Oh, Hive investing, super cool. Yeah, that's super cool. Hive investing, cold sweat selection will be caps on earn.
Yeah, we're going to review your propositions. Those are really cool.
Yeah, that's definitely very cool.
Thank you, people.
Really cool. I really like that. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
And I think so at the end, I think so what you like Paul has to say is like, I mean, my family that look at me and say they don't really get it. Sometimes they're like, dude, your work is a bit weird. And, if it was that simple, everyone would do it and everyone would invest into it. We're still in the early stage, guys. We're earlier than 2000 in the adoption of Web3 and crypto. So of course we're gonna witness a lot of these weird, risky things, and some of them are gonna blow up. But that's good. It trains you so well. 10 years from now, when it's gonna get so much more boring than from now, we're gonna be. Remember back in the days? Oh, that thing exploded, and that thing exploded, and we dodged that one. Unfortunately, that one smacked in our face, but it didn't hurt too badly. These are the moments where you realize that we are pioneers here, and until we don't get knocked down and we don't get up, we still have the chances to change this world, to be all financial independent, and to eventually decentralize power, because we're seeing what's happening in the world. 2022 was horrible. 2023 doesn't look any better, and thanks to people that still believe in crypto and still understand how it is. And today it's one of the best of time. Everything is blowing up and crypto went plus 15%. This is a very interesting time that we're living, and there's going to be a lot of more bumps on the ride, but eventually, what does not bring you down just makes you stronger. And with us at Swissborg, we'll always do our best. We promise we'll always do our best possible to bring the best vision, to bring the best technology, the best security of that technology, bring the best enthusiasm that we have, and hopefully bring all the right energy that will bring all us to be financially independent and be the one of the best communities in Web3. And I don't think so. We have so much time to talk about the Web3 vision here. But obviously, in last power, we did talk about this. I don't know if Nicolas wants to talk a little bit about
Yeah, I
it, or
just saw
Alex.
someone in the chat that was saying not your keys, not your coins.
Good
So
one. I saw that one
I
too.
you saw it too, huh? So it's just that like I hear you, and I fully understand where your sentence is coming from, what's the meaning, and so on and so forth. So the first thing to keep in mind is that like when SwissBorg started in 2017, back in the days, DeFi didn't exist, right? So obviously, regarding our architecture and how we started, it's heavily influenced by like how it was back in the days and the situation that we had over here. So things were mostly centralized. And one thing that is fundamental with SwissBorg is that we're talking about, a adoption going to kind of like offer crypto to everybody. And one thing that is that like, the number of people that, have lost their token because they didn't really fully understand what is a private key and that are not capable of fully custodying this is enormous. So what I keep on saying to everybody is like, if you have a private key, how do you know if it's secure? You don't know if you've been hacked. So typically this summer, there was this wallet on Solana that was sending the private key to the servers. How do you know if your wallet is doing so? How do you know if you've been hacked and there is something that like, sends the private key out of your computer? So of course you can have a ledger, and of course you can, we're all familiar with all those kind of things. But at the end of the day, custodying a private key is super hard. And it's this horrible part that like if you've been hacked, you don't know because it doesn't leave any trace. So perhaps someone has a copy of your private key and only exploit you in 5 years because there's enough amount or things like this, and it's complicated. So like a key takeaway from 2022 is that like having a full custodian model is a little bit complicated. Obviously, we're working on proof of liability and so on and so forth. Those kind of things are going to come, but we are going to look also at other models. And those things will still take some time, but I would say in a couple of months, we'll have more to show.
And I think so, with a fantastic track record of what we've built already for this great way to manage your wealth, to buy, sell, deposit, yield, stake, build thematics, and more. Imagine, how great SwissBorg will be when we'll do that on a decentralized matter, how faster it will be to onboard people, how faster it will be to protect people and to have a full experience in gaming, in social media, in DeFi people like. And this is really I would say, the big next chapter of SwissBorg. And for this, of course, we need to push the Series A. And I really want to thank everyone as well that have already participated so far. It really is a great honor to have today 14,000 partners in this mission. It's just amazing record, worldwide record in crowd equity funding. And, we're very grateful for the trust that you guys have put. And we are more than hyped and to just deliver this next new big chapters that we have. Maybe some questions for the end or some comments from Alex, Anthony, or Nicolas?
No, again, I think thank you guys for your support. I guess we genuinely try to do our best to innovate in the space, being a CFI that think like a DeFi platform in a sense. And it's not always easy for sure, but it's a great reward to see people are engaged. They challenge us the right way as well. And I guess what SwissBorg has managed to build with time is a brand of a family brand, that you can trust. We're not always, let's say, the most crazy and the one that communicate the most, but definitely we managed to build this brand of family and security, and hopefully we're going to leave it to it.
Yeah.
So.
And one last thing that I would say that is in the same vein as what Anthony just said is, please continue to show your support, because I can tell you that we might not answer to everything, and sometimes I forget to like or say thank you, but it means the world to us when Saturday morning at 3 a.m. we're checking that everything is okay, that we have to wake up and that we holding an emergency meeting for all weekend, and then people get tired, and showing support is in a good soccer game. When you see that people are cheering for you, it helps. So thank you to everybody out there. We'll do our best.
Beautifully said. And, I must say, when I was driving back here, I was trying to really drive fast, to get back and be able to say hello to the community right after AIBC Awards. I was listening to this song. I'm a huge fan of Coldplay, and there's a song called Charlie Brown. And it really resonated with what's happening, because there's one particular extract where it says, all the boys, all the girls, all the madness that occurs. And in the madness that went through USDC, with Signature Bank as well, and our team managing to withdraw the funds before banks closed. Really, it was madness, guys. I know it's crazy for you out there. Internally, it's even crazier. But the way the team reacts, I'm so proud. I'm so honored by how amazing the team is at really trying to see risk, and Cyrus calling the shots, even before the whole thing happened. And I was on a Myro Nafal Twitter space the other day, and I don't know if you remember, Sai, I literally said, keep an eye on Signature Bank, everyone, 2 days prior to when Signature Bank actually was closed down by the SEC. And that was all thanks not to me, guys. I'm by far the least intelligent in the room, but I really learned from amazing people. And another part of this really cool song from Coldplay, it ends with, we'll be glowing in the dark. And that's what I believe. It really resonated, the song, because I really believe at the end of this dark tunnel, SwissBorg will establish itself to be one of the biggest players in Europe and Switzerland. And with what's happening right now in the Middle East, I can tell you guys, not just this award, but the growth has been extremely, extremely strong. And I think the way things are panning out, Dubai will be like a combination of Switzerland and Las Vegas. Switzerland in the sense that, investment will come from this region, Las Vegas, because it's a little bit of bling bling and crazy at times. But I think we're in the right region, guys. I think that SwissBorg and Habibi Borg has lots of future and potential wherever direction we go. And I think on the share side, the equity, we have very little time left. And, under $200 million, just to remind everyone, we were offered, 1.7 billion. So more than a 10x from this valuation. And given what's coming out now and all the players falling, I don't think there will be another opportunity like this from a French company, from a Swiss company in the next 5 to 10 years. It's a very rare chance. And regardless if you're a token holder or a shareholder, if you're a token holder, we will deliver for you. If you're a shareholder and a partner, we will deliver for you. If you're both, we will double deliver for you. So trust us. Many people have doubted on us before, and many of the VCs who didn't want to enter this round specifically said because they had an ego issue. They didn't say that an ego issue, but they weren't happy that this round was community-led and not VC-led, and so they have egos that interfere. But the community will win again, like they've always done, and we love you.
Perfect ending. Just on the spot of the 1 hour. As always, guys, we love you very much. Be healthy, be wealthy, love our CHSB, and now our equity. Take care, guys. Much love. Bye.
Cheers.